Hey everyone and welcome to 5K. Today we're going to be exploring r/ProRevenge, where OP gets assaulted and decides to get sweet revenge. Our first post comes from the Micah B. I used to work for a plasma collection center back in 2008 to 2010. Even though I was certified, I was placed up in reception and slowly worked my way up to senior reception and trainer. I was also training for quality control and was known for keeping detailed notes of issues that were in need of fixing or training, which I would then forward on to management. Some of the things I'd keep track of were violations of FDA and GHA, German Health Authority, since we were run by a German/Swiss company, as well as OSHA issues. Because I wasn't seeing anything being done, I eventually stopped reporting the issues to avoid being labeled as a troublemaker and just kept time/date info, and if I could, I got pictures with date stamps just to cover my own butt in case something bad went down. Fast forward to June of 2010, and I was talking with one of my co-workers about the proposed cuts to benefits and the high turnover rate at our center. My co-worker was complaining to me about being afraid to call in sick because others had been fired for it, and I mentioned they were putting the donors in danger by us being sick since we weren't allowed to wear face masks unless we were in the back in the donors area, and even then, it was clear face shields to prevent getting hit if someone leaked on us. Without thinking about it, I talked about how unions protected against this sort of thing in other medical fields, and how that might be something that we should consider as it would help protect us as well. My co-worker got weirdly quiet, but I figured it was only because I was talking about a subject most people didn't like talking about. So nothing really happened until about August, when another co-worker grabbed my ponytail while I was working with a donor and yanked it down, jerking my head back. I'd informed everyone I worked with to never touch my hair because it was a trauma trigger for me from being abused, and so this co-worker actually knew I would wind up in a panic mode from this. She'd seen it happen before as well when a donor touched my hair, so this was 100% deliberate. I remember telling her not to do it again or I would make her get away. She of course walked up to me and yanked my hair even harder, so I hit her. The supervisors then went into a damage control mode as I fled the area in a panic response. One of them even cornered me and demanded I write down what happened because I had assaulted someone on company property. I wrote my side of the story and told them to check security footage since the camera was aimed right at the booth I was working at and had a very clear view of the events that unfolded. Turns out everyone else told an entirely different and creepily similar story than what I told, and the footage couldn't even be found, though less than half an hour had passed. I was then fired for assault less than an hour later and escorted off the premises after being given only 5 minutes to clear out my locker and get my belongings. Now it's time for the revenge. My partner was there on that day and saw exactly what happened. He offered to write what he saw, but was denied. So the next time he went in, he wound up getting screened by the same co-worker who yanked my hair, who didn't even get a write-up for assaulting me by the way, and asked her loudly enough so the whole reception area could hear, "So how's the 50 shekels of silver, Judas? Was it worth it?" Which left her in tears and another person had to finish screening him. He wound up being banned for 6 months for his attitude, but he claims it was more than worth it. While this was going on, I had been reaching out to various organizations and departments that oversaw plasma donations and collections, including the FDA, OSHA, CDC, and GHA. I informed them of the fact we always cleaned prior to an inspection, but we didn't keep things clean day to day, and suggested a surprise inspection should be in order. I also handed over copies I'd collected and tried to report, which always got shut down by my workplace. I learned a few months later that all of the management and several of the other techs and supervisors were all suddenly reassigned. And the FDA, GHA, and OSHO had all slammed fines on the center for violations dating almost the whole time I worked there. I'm actually really impressed and glad OP went to the lengths she did to get back at her company, which I guess is for the greater good for the donors as well. But I only have one question in mind. Why did the co-worker yank her hair in the first place? If you guys have any ideas why they may have happened, please let me know in the comments down below. This next post comes from Underwhelming Twin. About 10 years ago, my landlord died, or at least the person who owned the place we were renting died. The property managers had been delightful, but whoever inherited the place wanted to sell, so the house was up for sale. The place was then sold to some jackass. We'll call him Jack. Now, our place is on the top floor, which was basically an attic converted into a suite. It was less than 35 square meters. The bathroom was literally where the stairs up to the top floor used to be. This place was tiny. Jack came to check out the place, as you should before buying. He had one of those Bluetooth earpieces in, and I can't even remember if he acknowledged us. He spent about 30 to 45 seconds in our suite. Next time we hear from Jack was about a month later. Apparently he'd bought the place. He stops by to give us a notice of rent increase, effective in 6 months. He increased the price from $485 to $795. The place is not worth that much. We say nuts to that and decide to buy a house, since what the heck, it's not that much more per month anyway. Surprise to anyone who's never bought a house, house costs are much more than just the mortgage payments. We give him all the required notice to move out. We move and clean the place up really well. Mind you, when my partner moved in, it was not especially clean, and we happened to have the move-in inspection which mentions this. So Jack tries to scam us for $80 of our damage deposit for cleaning. He doesn't provide the required forms and just says, "I'm going to hold $80 from your damage deposit for cleaning." We respond with, no you're not. Jack assumes we need the cash for our next damage deposit or bills and will settle for anything. Accept this or I'm going to keep your whole deposit. Cue the revenge. He decides to keep the whole deposit of $485. I file paperwork with the rentals man, who unsurprisingly after their investigation rule in our favor. He's ordered to refund the whole deposit, but Jack decides to not pay, and the rentals man doesn't have any enforcement power, so I pretty much had to go to the local sheriff's office. They can send a legal demand letter for the deposit plus costs, but it will cost me $100 to $150 upfront. I go ahead and pay that upfront fee. Jack decides to ignore the sheriff's letter. Sheriffs say that they can start proceeding to recover debt plus costs again, but I have to pay another $250, and it might take quite a while. I chose to pay the sheriffs. They sent another less friendly letter to Jack, but here's the best part. Now they're recovering a debt. They're going to recover on all of the outstanding judgments against Jack because apparently he's tried this before. They then sent him a couple more letters. Pay up or else. Jack chose else. Then they seized title to Jack's giant white SUV. I don't remember what it was, but it wasn't cheap. They didn't physically take it away or anything, but they gave him 30 days to pay all the judgments against him or they would take it and sell it at auction. Somehow he all of a sudden found the money. My share of $885 as well as other people's money who'd registered judgments, but never paid to start the collection process, which was more than $5,000. Can't remember how long the process took. It was at least 6 months. Man, I cannot believe this guy tried to scam OP for $80, but ended up having to pay like $6 grand instead. I really like both of the posts for today because they originally set out for revenge, but actually got justice for themselves as well as for others. That's it for today's video. If you guys have any suggestions to other subreddits you think I should look into, let me know down in the comments below. Also, don't forget to like and subscribe for more content. I'll see you guys next time.